Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us again today. Hopefully, we've seen you all week this week, and today is the one that we have really been excitedly waiting for, and that is our interview with our friends from Pulaski County in Arkansas. We met them last week when this crisis kind of started, and we were talking about some summer professional development. And, we were kind of asking everybody that we were on the phone with last week, what are you guys doing? What is this like for you? How are students going to be learning during this time? What is your plan? And this school district is still, and now we're 2 weeks in, is the only school district that we have talked to who really had a plan in place. And I think Rachel Blackwell, who's on the call with us today, said it well. She said, we were prepared. And I do think they are the most prepared school district that I have spoken to. So I'm really excited to talk to them with you today and to get your questions for them. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started and introduce everybody who is on the panel today. When you do the chat, you probably want to change your little down arrow to all panelists and attendees. So that's going to let everybody who's here with us today, we have 108 participants so far and growing. So you want to change that little chat down arrow to all panelists and attendees. And that means that when you message, we will all be seeing this. And Brooke, Jess, and I from Fried Technology will be monitoring that chat today and making sure that we get your questions answered the best that we possibly can. So let me introduce everybody who is on the call, and then we're going to go to screen share, and I'll show you their positions and all that kind of information. So first of all, I'm Amy from Fried Technology, and Brooke, will you introduce yourself so the camera will switch to you?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Brooke Lowry from Fried Technology.
And then Jessica is here with us also.
Yep. Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica with Fried Technology.
And then Rachel Blackwell is with us today. Rachel, will you tell everybody who you are?
Hey, my name is Rachel Blackwell, and I work for Pulaski County Special School District as a digital learning facilitator with the Instructional Technology Department.
Awesome. And I think everybody's asking what's the name of this school district, because we haven't been real public in advertising it. And it is Pulaski, P-U-L-A-S-K-I, Pulaski County Special School District. Did I get it right?
That's correct.
Okay, awesome. Great. And Casey, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, sure, yes. Casey Daly, and I'm with Pulaski County Special School District as well. We're in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I'm with Instructional Technology and Professional Development.
Awesome, thank you. And then we got the great gift of Jimmy joining us today also. And Jimmy, will you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are also? And you might be muted.
Yes, I'm Jimmy Hogg. I'm the tech director at Pulaski County School District.
Awesome. Thank you so much, all of you guys, for joining us today. I'm going to share my screen now and put the slides up that I have on the screen. We're going to be adding the questions that we get answered today to these slides so that you guys have these for later on. And like I said, for those of you guys who are still joining, because we didn't let you in until the very last minute, so we've still got people joining. This school district is the only school district we've talked to who we felt like really had a plan in place for something like this. So I want to kind of tell the story of how we started speaking to them and what happened. And there's Jimmy, Casey, and Rachel's pictures there on the screen for you to see. So I was on a call last week with Casey and Rachel. It was actually Friday, so a week ago tomorrow. And I said, what are you guys going to do? What's the plan there in Pulaski County? And they said, well, we're just going to have AMI days. And of course I said, what's an AMI day? Tell me all about this. And they told me what the term meant, which you're going to find out about today, and told me what this plan looks like, how it works, and they honestly made it feel really like something that anyone could do. It was just something that they thought through maybe before the rest of us did. So I'm super excited to hear about this from them and for you to be able to ask about this also. So I want you to notice there is a chat button. If you haven't already found that, find the chat button in your controls so that you can see the chat that is occurring. And make sure that you change the down arrow that's pictured there on the slide to all panelists and attendees, unless for some reason you have intended to only to only talk to the panelists. We'll be monitoring both of those areas, but most of the time you're going to be talking. You probably want to ask the question to everyone. All right, so here we go. We have one more webinar scheduled for this week. We haven't done our schedule yet for next week, but we've been doing free webinars all week to try to help all of our friends in education. And tomorrow we have one I know a lot of you are going to be interested in. It is developing activities for your online classroom. Once these webinars are over, we are putting them on YouTube and linking them to this same file. It's located on our blog. So you can always go to our blog at fried.tech and find the latest recording or version of each of these things if you want to go back and look at that. And a lot of people have asked, can I share these with my school district? And the answer is yes. That's why we're making them, because we want you to be able to share. So please do that.
Hey, Amy, I'm right now putting the recording link on that slide. So when they get access to this presentation in a little while, it will have a straight link to the recordings for the first two.
Okay, they're actually already on that slide. So those,
okay, perfect.
Those links that are there on our blog are updated, and those are the correct links to the recording right now. So yeah, but we do, don't let me forget, Brooke, we do need to add the one from today to this slide also when we get done. But yes, those are there at fried.tech, and then you click on the blog link and you'll see that slide embedded in that first entry there, and that's where those recording links are for the first two that we did this week. And then today we will be adding another one. All right, let's get started asking questions of these folks in Pulaski County, which I am so interested to hear you guys' reaction to these. So guys, whoever wants to answer, it's fine. Can you just go ahead and tell us kind of what you told me last week about what the process is on days when school cannot be held face-to-face? We talked about floods having happened before. We talked about school buildings being closed for one reason or another, and this is just your plan for when school can't happen face-to-face.
That's correct. Yeah, we have AMI days, which is alternate methods of instruction. And we started this is our third year. We had some inclement weather like everybody else does during the school year, and we needed some days that were approved by the state that we could still offer instruction and not have to add those to the end of the school year. So we've had issues with flooding, we've had issues with power outages. So kind of any weather or natural disaster, anything like that, we can use these AMI days for. And we're a one-to-one district, K-12. We're K-2 iPads and 3 through 12 Chromebooks. So all of our students that are 3 through 12 take their Chromebooks home with them. And we're a very heavy G Suite school district. So most of our lessons and everything is done online with Google Classroom when we have these AMI days.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So I want to dig into that question that you sort of touched on just a minute ago. And that is, what kind of issues did you face making sure there was equity for students with not only devices? It sounds like you guys provided devices for every single student consistently, consistent device, Chromebooks, at higher grade levels, and then iPads at lower grade levels. But what did you do about Wi-Fi? How are you guys making sure that everybody can actually get online when they're at home doing these AMI days?
Absolutely. Rachel, Jimmy, do you want to jump in there too and talk about some of the programs that are offered in our state?
Yeah, so of course, there are going to be some students who do not have Wi-Fi. And so we do have some free resources on our website right now, just our pcssd.org website. But for our regular AMI days, we provide packets for our K2. Those are usually developed and distributed sometime in like October. And we ask parents, hey, put this in a safe place in case we need them. So like my daughter who's in pre-K, that's what we've been doing the last couple of days. And so same thing is available for students as well. Whatever time we have to be out, if for some reason they weren't able to complete an assignment, they have that time on the back end of it as well to turn in assignments as needed.
Okay. We also have Rachel, did you talk about that partnership with AT&T that we have on our website for the $5 a month?
Yeah, there are a couple of different, now with everything coming out, there's a couple of different ones. So yeah, AT&T has one, Comcast, there's several of them. And so a lot of people are finding access or have a phone or live in a complex or, can go to McDonald's. We've walked to McDonald's before and seen students working. So they've kind of made it work for them however they can. And our AMI packets to start with, before this crisis were designed at the district level, more for like, what would you say, Casey? Like tests?
General.
Like general, like just test practice, things to keep the students working when they have to be out. But now things have changed a little bit,
So will y'all tell us, because you did mention this when we talked last week as well. So at the beginning of the school year, you guys do a big push to make sure that all parents know about this $5 a month internet access that's available.
That's correct, yeah.
Do parents have to do anything to prove financial need or anything like that for that internet access?
Yes, and this is the third year that AT&T's done this, and it's posted on our instructional technology page. But so before this even happened, AT&T offered for parents, mostly students who are on free and reduced lunch, and I think they have to show a paycheck stub. But it's a $5 a month internet through AT&T, and it's.
Whoops, Casey just froze for a second.
Casey.
Yeah. Rachel, you want to finish that thought for her, or Jimmy?
yeah. So I was trying to look up on our website too. There's some others. Yeah. So AT&T has, offering that as well.
Another one that was for free.
There she is. Yeah. She came back. Casey, we lost you for just a second.
Oh, sorry.
So say that thought again.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that AT&T, this is their third year they've offered it for $5 a month for students who are free and reduced lunch. And I think that they do require a paycheck stub.
Okay, very cool. But then Rachel, you were saying there have been other providers that have stepped in as well with the same or similar offer?
Yes, Spectrum, Wi-Fi information, Xfinity Wi-Fi, and those can be found on our PCSSD website under our COVID-19 information. There's a whole section about internet resources.
So people are asking, and I'm wondering this too, did you guys contact them and say, hey, is there something you can do to offer? How did that partnership start in the beginning? Does anyone know the answer to that?
I think we actually met up with them at ISTE, the conference, and they said, hey, this is something we offer. And so we just kind of put it out there just so that we can, be on the forefront and just make sure that everybody has access.
Well, turns out y'all did a really smart thing back at that time when you probably didn't know there was
we didn't think of it.
giant need. Yeah, but it turns out there really was. So I'm really curious. A lot of people are asking questions, and we're doing a lot of thinking about how are students held accountable for attending school and completing work. So that's really two different questions, but can one of you guys talk to us about attendance and how that's working in Pulaski County?
Sure. We have our teachers, as far as students attending, our teachers are pushing out their assignments daily through Google Classroom, and they're available online through email. We opened Hangouts, whereas before we kind of had some restrictions for students on Hangouts, but we've completely opened Hangouts for students as long as they're within our domain. And we also made sure to turn on our admin side to make sure that they could have video capabilities in Hangouts, because if you don't, the screen sharing doesn't work. So our students, some of our teachers have actually done whole groups through Hangouts online or whole classrooms. So definitely students are required to upload their assignments to Google Classroom, and when they, and the grading is kept recorded. So when they come back to school, they know that the classroom grades that were in Google Classroom are going to be uploaded to our state grading site.
Okay. So Jimmy, did you enable the advanced features of Hangouts, or just enable the features that were already there that maybe for privacy concerns and things like that you had not enabled when people were able to meet face-to-face? Are you muted, Jimmy, maybe on your headset or computer?
Or did he have to jump off, Rachel? He might have. I know that.
Oh,
no,
there
he's
okay.
there. We can see him. Let me unmute you. You're still showing up there. Nope. Yeah, there you are, Jimmy. We should be able to hear you. So you may be muted through your computer instead of through the Zoom app, because you are unmuted right now, but we can't hear you. Do y'all know the answer to that question, Casey or Rachel? Do you have the live stream capabilities turned on and the recording capabilities in your Hangouts?
We do. We went in because the other day we were playing with it, and so we had turned it off at the beginning because we went one-to-one. It was kind of like teachers were, still trying to get used to everything, and they were worried about students, chatting during tests, or, they were trying to figure out ways to try to just manage
it.
At first. And so we had turned off Hangouts, and then with everything changing, they said we need to turn this back on because Zoom may or may not be able to be used. And so we did have to play with it and turn on the feature for students to be able to share their screen, so that if a teacher was trying to help a student, they would be able to see what the student's doing. Jimmy, are you on now?
And Rachel, another note to add is that we make sure that we kept it just in domain only. So,
yes.
It's just for pcssd.org, email addresses.
Yeah, we found out on, I don't know, right as we were about to start our first webinar, that people cannot join with the live stream outside of our domain. So, yeah, we remember originally we were going to have you guys join us via Hangouts, but we wanted to record it and live stream it, and that is actually not available in EDU domains. We have an EDU domain too, since we're a Google partner. So yeah, we found that out also. So you guys mentioned that when you've had these AMI days before, you've had significant makeup times available for kids after school resumes. Has anybody had any discussions about what that's going to be like in this circumstance where we may be out of school for an extended period of time?
Our school district usually follows the policy with absences, which means if you're absent for one day, you have 2 days to make it up. We haven't really discussed, we're scheduled obviously to go back to school after spring break. We don't know if that'll happen or not, but I'm sure that'll have to be part of the conversation of if we're out till May or something like that, kind of how are we going to do these if students do need to make up work, especially those seniors that are graduating or those high school students that really depend on those credits for promotion or graduation.
Yeah, we're all going to have those conversations. Yeah. I talked to a large school district yesterday, not in Texas, not in Arkansas, another state we work in, and their school leaders told me that they do not believe they will resume school this school year. That is their current anticipation. So that's really just kind of freaking me out, honestly, but that's what we're hearing right now. So I know everybody's going to be having those conversations.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, somebody just asked about what the role of the teacher librarian was in all of this with our AMI, and our teacher librarians are heavily involved with our, they kind of push out all of our technology initiatives in the schools. So they are heavily involved in Chromebook issues. A lot of all of our Chromebook repair runs through our media specialists, or we call them our teacher librarians, but they are definitely, they're all Google certified. We had required them to have level 1 and level 2 Google certifications. So they are a very large resource. And I can imagine that they are probably online all day helping their teachers with G Suite questions, as well as probably some of the students too. So they're very, very heavily used in our process with AMI.
That's super cool. So your librarian media specialist people, did you guys choose them partially based on their technical ability, or did you take people who were already in those positions and say, we're going to give you the PD to get you to?
Oh, absolutely both. We had some teacher librarians that have been in our district for years. And, when we adopted G Suite with our one-to-one, we just had to, not just with our teacher librarians, but with our whole school district, we pushed so heavy with professional development during the summers and big summits during the school year, that we just offered so much blended instruction support. So if they were already a teacher librarian, they definitely knew that they were going to be on board with this. And then from then on, when we filled positions, it was such a heavy requirement for them to know that they would be expected to come in with what we already have in place.
Well, I'm excited as a person who owns a professional development company that you guys, that professional development investment within and outside your district was such a big part of what has made this successful for you, because I mean, we see what it looks like when people hire us early on and they do the preparation, and we also see what it looks like when we don't talk to them until they're 3 years into their implementation and then they decide they want to do professional development. A lot of school districts, unfortunately, don't have leadership like you guys in this video today. Thanks, Jess. We're all hearing the phone ring right now.
Right.
And it's so
Probably.
hard to know with the money. I mean, if you're going to put the technology out there or you're going to put the professional development, because you kind of have to choose. But at the time, we were like, okay, let's give the devices and give some training, and then we went back and we kind of had to do. You have to do them kind of both at the same time, but.
It's so important, I think, that, and Patricia was just asking who paid for our Google certifications, and it was built into our district professional development funds and our instructional technology funds. So we paid for their Google certifications. And I'm sure just as with through any company, when you purchase that professional development, they give you those codes for level 1 and level 2. So we just managed those level test codes and would give them out and kind of keep a spreadsheet on who was using them. And then when they passed them, they had to email us their Google certification badge. So it worked really well for us.
Yes, that's exactly how we do it as well. So thanks for sharing that. I mean, really my favorite topic to discuss for sure. So my husband was a school leader. He is working on a different career right now, but he worked in school districts for many, many years. And I asked him last night, told him about you guys, and I said, what questions would you want answered if you were leading a school right now and you were dealing with this? And so all the questions on the next page came from him, and I thought, oh, those are all really good questions I didn't think about. So I love this one. Who was involved in planning initially when you guys decided we're going to go one-to-one, we're going to create a plan for when we can't have school face-to-face? Who was in that decision-making process? And then how did you guys get people to believe that this was a real need before now? Because clearly you did that. How did you do that?
Rachel, you gonna take this?
Yeah, so I think luckily our state kind of saw the need. So it actually came from the state offered, say, hey, you can apply to have AMI days. So they said you can apply up to 10. I think they granted 5 for the first few years. But they said, okay, so we had to fill out an application for our state and say, this is what we're doing. This is who's involved. We have our district. I think if you go to our website, there is a whole part for AMI. Like it's exactly what what are the teacher librarians going to do? What is your support staff going to do? What are, bus drivers going to do? Like just kind of breaking it down because you have so many different departments. And if the school's not running and, if we don't make them up on the back end. So we kind of had to think about that. We talked about just our state offers Arkansas Ideas, where it's an online PD platform. And so you really had to have all your stakeholders in the room. So we did. We had probably a bigger than needed, but we had several huge meetings of like the directors for each of the departments and said, okay, what are we going to do? And kind of left it to them to kind of break up and figure out what they thought was best for their department.
Yeah, we formed an AMI committee. And so we filled out all.
Oh, we lost Casey again.
Yeah.
She turned her ceiling fan off and we still lost her.
Do we hear Jimmy?
Can you hear me
Jimmy?
now?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now. Jimmy, what do you have to say? You got to have just been dying to talk this whole time.
Everyone's back on the.
Oh, Jimmy, are you back?
He's back.
Hey, there you go. And this home office thing is a work in progress.
Definitely for us all, right?
But yeah, we had a CIO that really pushed for one-to-one, kind of ahead of a lot of other school districts in our. And luckily, we had a superintendent who was on board, and it was just something that we adopted and went full force with it. And we had, and I'll tell you, it really, our professional development and loading our money front end on professional development was the best thing and probably the only thing that saved us, because when you pass out devices, and I'm sure a lot of other school districts can, attest to this, when you pass out devices, it's not just some magic fix, right? So we really had to bring outside sources in and say, we need to train our people, because if we don't, these devices are just going to sit there and they're not going to be utilized.
Yeah,
So
I did not pay Casey to say that, by the way. That's not how this went down. She said all that on her own.
Yeah,
just here to tell you that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you for addressing that. It's really is my favorite topic.
Yeah.
So you guys told us that you're heavy users of G Suite. And all of Arkansas is, and I got to tell a little Arkansas story real quick, because the first time I ever did professional development myself in Arkansas, I think it might have been 3 years ago at HISTE. Are you guys familiar with that conference?
We are.
Okay, so it's the Hot Springs Technology Institute. It happens every summer. And I went to represent Google and CDW. So we're a Google partner. We also partner with CDW, which is a hardware reseller. And so I went to that conference myself because I was like, yeah, I'm going to Hot Springs for, a couple of days and going to go hang out in a fun place because I love Hot Springs, love it there. So we flew into Little Rock, drove out to Hot Springs, and went to this conference. And I really had no idea what to expect. I'd never worked with teachers in Arkansas before. And so I got in there, and these teachers, I'm not kidding, y'all, were the most technically savvy teachers in Google that have ever worked with in any state. Ever. And we've worked now in, I don't know, not all 50 states, but a lot of states. Yes. And I was, telling Brooke and Jess, like, you guys are not going to believe what I'm working on these teachers with. Like, I had to really, ramp it up. The day 2, I was changing all my presentations, making everything go higher. And I told the teachers this, and they said, listen, Amy, do not expect this if you go to just a general school in Arkansas. This is really just this conference. Well, after that, we've gone to general schools in Arkansas, and I gotta say that teachers in Arkansas overall, maybe not as tech savvy as HISTE, but much more tech savvy than many other states we have worked in. So yeah, you guys settled on Google as a state pretty much. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yes, we did. And I would say that all of the other just districts around us and our surrounding areas are definitely all G Suite. And whenever we go to conferences like HISTE that is in Hot Springs, it's definitely G Suite products that are being used with one-to-one. And I think it probably just goes along with the Chromebooks. You'll see probably in our state, the one-to-one adoptions are Chromebooks. So, that those just go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Casey's exactly right. I think it really started at the device level. We worked really hard to decide which device we were going to use, and then Google was just the natural solution for us. We started with iPads actually as our first pilot, but then we went to the Chromebooks, and of course that took us to Google.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of what we've been seeing all over the state, and it seems to be working for people. So it's been interesting to see for sure. So. Yeah, go ahead, Brooke. Do we have questions we should answer?
We have two questions that have recurred a couple of times as really addressing how you're working with students with 504s, how you're addressing the needs of those learners who need inclusion time. Is the state waiving any of that requirements for those special situations, or how are you guys meeting those needs?
No, they're not. And we have, when we have our AMI committee meetings, special ed, our director of special education, is involved in those. And, each of our schools have special education teachers that are there that are, required to kind of review all of the student, special ed requirements. So they're all in there. So teachers follow the same thing that they're using in the classroom with IEPs or anything like that. They're definitely following those in Google Classroom, whether it's giving extended time or giving different options or, none of that is waived. Absolutely not.
Interesting.
And with our with our decision from state level being closed down, like this week, they held off conferences because we had lots of conferences planned this week and everything. They're just kind of on pause until we know, but I know those discussions and how they're getting out and using Hangouts and stuff to still support their kids and, get the therapies they need. They're still figuring all that out.
So do you guys think if you think about your average teacher in your school district, do you think the average teacher in your school district knows how to differentiate through Google Classroom by assigning things only to certain students? Would that be a skill that you'd think people would generally have?
I think you would probably find, and Rachel, you can chime in on this too, but I think you would probably find teachers that are very good at this, and you would find teachers, and it's probably how heavy they use this in their classroom as well, because I think we've seen with this going on right now that there are some teachers who really are not advanced Google Classroom users that are having to become advanced Google Classroom users because of this. So I think that you'll find pockets of each. And Rachel, do you want to?
Yeah, and they're definitely supporting each other, because one of my son's teacher, they're both just collaborating together and trying to figure out, okay, what can we do? And so I think that's still happening. And they're all just trying to, yeah, like you said, all still trying to learn and up their game a little bit. So.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that we've seen across the board this week, is that all of a sudden educators have removed the walls and the borderlines across states and countries. And if someone has an answer to a question, it's just out there. And people are just working together as fast as they can to make all these resources come together. I mean, luckily as an educator, every time I open my social media, I am just seeing resource after resource after resource after resource being posted. And I feel that the information's out there. We just got to start kind of putting it all together, because sometimes when you are thrown too much information, too many helpful sites, and it's like, okay, where do I start? Just like organizing a closet that you've been meaning to get to for 2 years. And I feel like that's probably how some of our teachers are feeling, is that they've gone to all these PDs and they went back to their classrooms and they meant to use them, but they didn't. And now they're pulling all those binders and those notes and all those documents and all those things out from all this technology PD that they've had. But now they're just like, and now where do I start? So I think for me personally, I know that that's what I've been helping some of my personal educator friends with, is just start with one thing and let's master this.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
So what do y'all think about, and I'm interested to see what people who are attending today think about this too. What do you think about having a webinar next week about Google Classroom, and we'll go into how to differentiate with Google Classroom and also how to set up something so that teachers can share assignments. I wonder if that is a big need out there too, because everybody's doing this on their own. Well, if we could get together, if we could get,
yes before you even finish the
question.
question.
Okay, all right.
It is blowing up right now.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. We will do that then. We will set that up
Yes.
next week, and we'll teach those two things. Y'all don't let me forget what I said we're going to teach, so we can make sure we do it. Here's another thing.
Maybe we should send out some sort of form via our social media to see if people have specific types of questions. That might help us kind of plan ahead, because I've been in the Facebook group that I'm in for Google Classroom. That is the most common topic, is people just need to know how to do this one tiny little thing that would just make their whole life easier. And so they ask the question, and I'm like, oh man, that's really an easy fix. If you just knew how to do it, you wouldn't be so frustrated. And so I think that might be helpful for us to kind of preload those questions.
Great idea. Okay, let's do that. We will do that next week. That is my promise, that we will do that. And we'll make sure also, here's a thought I'm having. So you guys who are in school districts, you cannot join our Google Classrooms unless your school district whitelist our domain. But if you log into our Google Classroom with your Gmail account, then we would be able to put you in a Google Classroom so that we can share templates and assignments with you. So I know that may be a technical challenge for some people, but would people be, thanks, Lee. We're whitelisted in Leander. I hope so.
Yes.
But if we're not whitelisted in your domain, would your teachers be able to understand how to log into a Gmail account to get into a classroom to get resources? Do y'all think your teachers would know how to do that in Pulaski?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well,
we can
whitelist you.
Yeah, okay. All right, y'all whitelist us too, friedtechnology.com, and we'll set that classroom up in our domain so that we can share resources with teachers and be able to get you products. And there's Kelly brought us, Brooke. Hey, Kelly brought us.
Oh, hey, Kelly.
And Jeff St. Andre. Oh, that's so great to see you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so I think we have gotten a lot of our questions that we came here answered today, but I really want to give you guys who are in the chat, whitelisted in McGregor, thank you so much, and in Isleta, thank you. Fort Worth, yes. This is great. This is really making me feel good. So will you guys who are in the chat today, who are participating today, will you please start chiming in with your questions? We can ask questions about what they're doing with Google Classroom. We can ask questions about what's in those. Really, it sounds like a sub packet you sent home at the beginning of the year just in case something happened and those have changed. What's in those documents? I want you guys to tell us in the chat what you want to know. And yes, we are whitelisted in Huntsville, Texas, not Huntsville, Arkansas, if Sally is from Huntsville, Texas. Yes.
We may be. Bailey may have us whitelisted in
I think so too.
Huntsville, Arkansas.
So. Okay.
I think so.
Maybe
So we've got some questions in the Q&A that I don't think have been answered, and I want to make sure we honor those people's answers. So one person did ask what your staffing situation looks like, and I don't know if you said that, but could you maybe give us a rundown real quick of like how big is your staff? You know, how much support are they getting from you guys from the top level down?
Great question, Lee.
We have about 11,000 students, about a little over 1,000 staff members.
And that's just teachers.
That's just
thousands of teachers, like teachers, counselors, things. Yeah.
Yeah. And so as far as support, they all have our number and our email address. And so, and they're not afraid to ask, which I love, because Casey and I both came from a teaching background. And so we know how important, like when they need something right then, they're in the middle of teaching, just making sure we get it going for them.
And we have an instructional technology page that Rachel and I and our department created, and we put videos and tutorials all the time on there. So if you go to it, it just, and it's on our pcssd.org webpage. If you go to instructional technology, we have our own Google site, and we are constantly on there, Screencastify. Here's how to Screencastify. Or in our district, we gave everybody these AVER document cameras, and they only come with just one cord. So they kind of roll up, and when they're very easy to carry, and they kind of tuck in here. It just has one cord, and the cord just goes straight to your Chromebook. And so with the app that goes with it from the Chrome Web Store, you can have a document camera right there and record what you're doing and upload it to Google Classroom. So these AVER document cameras are heavily, heavily used in our district, and every teacher has one. And that's kind of helped with the AMI stuff too, because they can still, math teachers are still recording their lessons on the document camera and just uploading them straight to Google Classroom. So did
teachers take those home with them when they left?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them have it at home because that's where they usually use it to upload to they probably carry it back and forth, and it's like a little carrying case. So
I love how Casey just pulled that out.
I know.
Yeah.
AVER plug.
Yes. Like, where are the AVER people right now?
Right.
We're gonna
CDW.
Yes. Well, CDW. Yes. If you don't know who your CDW account manager is, school leaders, let us know. We'll find out for you. We work very closely.
I asked in the chat, like, what extension that was. The Sphere Light extension. It goes with that AVER document camera.
Yeah, Sergio just asked what extension. So it's Sphere Light.
SPHERE.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. And it's free. And it'll just kind of and as soon as you open it, if you have your AVER document camera plugged in, it will notice it. And as soon as I plug this AVER document camera into my Chromebook, the light automatically comes on. So there's no battery on this. There's no charging this.
Wow.
It is a lifesaver. I
am sold. I did not know there was a document camera that was that simple.
One cord.
Yeah,
one cord.
Awesome.
And it's a USB, so we gave everybody extenders. If yours is a USB-C, just plug it right in, and the light comes on, Sphere Light comes up, and you can record whatever you're doing, and it automatically saves it to your drive, and you can just share it.
Do y'all know anything about how much those are?
I'm trying
to look them up on Amazon, see if I can find one.
I'm trying to remember. I just ordered some not too long ago.
The one that we have is like $165 on Amazon.
Something like that.
Maybe we need to call Amazon and say, listen, I know this isn't a medical supply, but this is necessary. Please, yes, keep delivering this thing because
we have a ton of questions happening over here in the chat. I'm going to try to condense them to see if we can get them answered pretty quickly. We have. Do you guys have online support? I know you have the videos, but is there anything that you guys are doing specifically for students for tech support or for parents for tech support?
So one thing I was going to mention, a platform that we use is called School Status, and it's mostly for our teachers, but all the students are in there, and parent or the teachers can email or text or call a parent through the app, so they're not using their personal phone. And so we're just, actually we're on here, somebody sent the numbers. So we still have, thousands of interactions going out daily. That way our teachers don't have to give out their personal number. We have some that do Google phone numbers. And so the students just reach out to them via email and say, hey, we need to talk, or we need to do a hangout. And so it's an easy way for parents to say, hey, I don't know really what's going on, and stay communicate with the parent. So
it's really important, even in this time, to remind teachers that when you're texting with students, use a service like what Rachel's talking about. Use Google Voice. It creates an an unchangeable record of your text conversations with students, and that's something that you definitely want to have. Use one of the services instead of just texting phone number to phone number, because those records can't be retrieved sometimes, and that's where legal problems have happened before. And y'all know I'm not normally one to worry about legal problems. I'm like, sure, read the book on YouTube, but do that just to protect yourself in case anything should happen later, so your teachers are doing the right thing there. Brooke, what other questions are you seeing we should get answered right now?
We have quite a few about AMI.
Yes.
What you guys are doing about AMI. Let me find the question again. It's from Rhonda, and there's one from Mindy. What about AMI lessons for electives and CTE classes at secondary campuses? You guys familiar with the term AMI and what you guys are doing to address it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have all of our, so if they were given packets, I know that for the K2, they are on like a wheel with art and music, or, whatever semester it is. So they were required to put something in there. But yes, for our 3 through 12, if they're using Google Classroom, every teacher is on contract all day for the school work day, and they are required to upload work to Google Classroom. And we have a Google form that we put for every single school, and we have the link on our website. So each day the teachers have to log into this link, and it puts it obviously into a spreadsheet, but and tell what they're doing each day for their AMI, what they've done that day. And the administrators have access to their own school sheet, so they can look at, and they're supposed to be, to see, what are my teachers doing today? Who didn't log in today and say what they did? Let me reach out to them and see what's going on. So it's very much accountable. And central office has that as well. We have to log in every day and put what we did. So that helps a lot.
It's good for reporting.
Yeah, I love how you're even using Google tools to do that.
Yeah.
And it turns out that there are a ton of doc cams, and everybody is sharing them.
Yes.
What about you guys with your parent and at-home tech support? You guys have any sort of intentional effort to support the students and parents at home as they're trying to navigate these waters? Do you guys have anything set up for that, or is it just kind of a email situation where they just let you know if they have questions?
Yeah, are there support tickets? Or that's a good question.
Ooh, we have not.
We have support tickets for our in-district for teachers, but not for parents. But our website, and we have a director of communications, Jessica Duff, and she pushes so much out every day through our PCSSD website. And also she manages all our social medias, and she answers every parent question. So if they want to go to Facebook, and when I mean every question, if it's posted, Jessica's answering it.
That's
impressive. They'll reach out to us. She's a part of our team for instructional technology. Communications is kind of together with us. We're right next, or we share the same offices. So Jessica will contact Jimmy, our director, and ask him, or she'll contact us. So parents know our social media platforms are very, very heavily watched.
Oh, that's really cool. So Lisa wants to know, what is a schedule? Is there a schedule for an AMI day, and what does that look like? Or are teachers submitting lesson plans like they normally would on an AMI day? And does that determine what the schedule looks like? How does that work?
We haven't really set up an AMI schedule day. I mean, teachers know that that they're on contract like they would be. But we don't have like a set, we haven't, and Rachel, you can chime in on this too. I don't think we've set a time for students that they have to have like so many, hours or so many minutes on each day for AMI. I think it's just completing the work and kind of at their own pace.
As far as like my student, I have a pre-Ker and a fifth grader, and my fifth grader, like their teachers are just putting it on, like they're trying to get it up at 8 a.m. They also use Dojo, which I'm sure a lot of schools use that, resource class Dojo, but they'll say, hey, at 8 a.m. every day, I'll post it. And some of the things, they give 2 days on the assignment, but my son's teacher's using everything. She actually did a Google Hangout with the whole class yesterday. That was interesting, with a whole bunch of fifth graders. But she's doing vocabulary lessons. She's doing a lot of Flipgrid lessons so that kids can get on and talk. They have like Lexia and Dreambox programs that we already have in our district. So they're just utilizing, hey, make sure you get 7 Dreambox lessons in this week, or Lexia lessons. And then they also, before we left out Thursday, some of them sent home some packets. So just some like math open responses. And so he had to fill those out on paper, and then he had to just like screenshot them and send them in to her. So there's a lot of different ways they're utilizing it, but there's not like a set time. They're trying to get on, and like if somebody's not turning things in, they're reaching out either through Dojo or school status and saying, hey, we noticed you're not, you're didn't get this turned in. Do you need some help, or is there something we can do? Because I mean, some of our parents are still working full time and having to come home at night and try to make sure their kids' assignments are due. So they're given a lot of grace, but also making sure they're staying connected and the parents are taken care of.
That's rough. A lot of people want to know, you guys, can we see what this AMI form looks like? Is that available on your website, or is it something that you could?
It is.
Okay.
If you go to pcssd.org,
Okay.
and just click the magnifying glass at the top left corner, if you just type in AMI, you can really just see how the whole thing's laid out instead of, and I know Rachel's probably looking at the form, put the link in there. But if you just put the link, Rachel, that'll be good. So they can actually see how our page is laid out for AMI. For students and for faculty. But for the students, you're going to see that we posted assignments on there, and those were for some AMI days that we've had earlier in the school year. But with this one being a prolonged AMI period, we kind of put a note on the top of our page saying, hey, check Google Classroom, because these assignments are not for the AMI right now. We're running through Google Classroom since it's, we don't know really when it's going to end. Yeah.
Gotcha. Sharon wants to know, have you guys, I forgot, can't see where, oh, there it is. Have you set up any counseling support system, schedule, call-in center, crisis lines, anything like that? Or are your counselors involved in this at all?
They are. We went to a conference a couple weeks ago, and that was one of the big things, is just talking about when you're out for AMI, because we've actually had AMI for school threats. And so like, hey, these kids are out and now they're scared on top of that. And we have it. It's like, it happens so fast. We're like, that's definitely a piece that we're looking into, is what do we need to do to help? The counselors are still on, they're still available through email and everything, but just trying to figure out what can we do to make sure and offer that kind of information.
So Bethel wants to know, and I want to know too, honestly. Did you see that? How did the Hangout with the whole class go of fifth graders? Do you recommend?
My son actually walked away and I just stayed in it with them. But something that you could do is you can mute all the students. And so if you can, I would get the students muted and just tell them like, hey guys, let me explain first. They actually had a student who she asked, because the teacher's view looks different than the students. So she actually had a student that she had share her screen. And so she would say, hey, would you click on this, and kind of walk the kids through it. Like, here's your Google Classroom. This is what you need to do. So that was really neat to have a student walk through that. But yeah, it was a little bit chaotic there for a second, just students jumping on. But I think it was good. They got to hear and talk to each other for just a second, and they know that's a resource now they can use.
Yeah, that's good. Are a lot of teachers trying that, or is that pretty rare, do you think?
No, I have some. We have a blended learning program in our school, which this is kind of set perfect for them, because they already had all their information online. And so some of the teachers said, hey, I'm going to do a lesson through that as well. I'm just going to get on and do what I would normally do, my live lesson through that. So I think as it goes on and stuff, I think that people will get more comfortable with that.
Yes, and we sent out a district-wide email, because this is a good point to also make if you're using GoGuardian, because we use GoGuardian, and we had to turn our GoGuardian off because we had so many teachers who had set up, blocking them from going here or there, restrictions.
I was like, what's it called? Yeah,
the scenes, restrictions for using scenes. So GoGuardian was one where they could share screens back and forth. So when we turned GoGuardian off, we sent an email out and said, listen, GoGuardian's off right now, and we've opened Hangouts. Rachel made a video on how to use Hangouts, and we attached that to the email. So I think more teachers are using it in our district now than ever have before, for sure.
That's, I never thought this would be the thing that made us all, really get interested in ed tech. I mean, I've always been interested in it, but now everybody's interested in it. And, there aren't many good things about this crisis right now, but I think this is a good thing. I think we're really realizing what we can do with technology, and that maybe it wasn't as scary as we thought, now that we need it and we have to try it.
Yeah. I kind of want to touch what Rachel was talking about with the teacher having the student share the screen yesterday. That is a big thing, is seeing the difference between the teacher side and the student side. And I have a niece who's a freshman this year, and yesterday her teacher asked her to set up a Hangout for students who needed tutoring. Just
Wow.
from her side, because she needed help with it, and she thought that Jay would be able to explain things and show them in Google Classroom where she was putting the thing. So I wouldn't say that she didn't do it begrudgingly, but she was like, fine, I'll show them. So, I'm sure it wasn't, I don't think it lasted very long, but I think that that's maybe something that we should be looking at too, is these students that have everything completely under control, are they willing to do it? I've seen on Twitter now several students who got together and did did their daily announcements for their team, and they put their videos together and smashed it all together from their homes and did the morning announcements for students. So maybe that's a resource it's time to really start tapping into as well.
And I really like the recording. My son's teacher also records herself, like just welcome messages and stuff. But yeah, if you can use Screencastify and you can grab a student's account so you can be on that side of it and just record kind of what it looks like. That way it would kind of save like maybe needing to be live, but just kind of do a video like welcome each morning. I think would be a great.
I agree. That's less stressful, don't you think, to pre-record and not have everybody watching you while you're practicing?
Yes.
Yeah, totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are you guys seeing any other questions in the chat or the Q&A that we need to get answered right now?
The only question that I have is the pcssd.org is your general website, but is there a specific place they need to click to find your
departments? Under departments, instructional technology.
There you go.
We can pop the link in there, Rachel, if you have it.
Yeah.
I'm actually on
our
it right
website.
now.
We've been really busy lately, so our website is not what it usually is. So just forgive us right now.
You know, it happens. I got it pulled up right now. I'll put the link. I was just double checking.
Yeah.
Usually we have all of our summer PD and stuff in there, and
which
so
we're still getting together now. I feel like
it's a little bit bare, but
yeah, we're still planning all of our summer PD. So
good. I'm really glad to hear we're still planning summer PD.
Me too.
Me too. We need to do summer PD, everybody. We need to do it, okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Fried technology needs to be there.
Even heavier attended this year.
I think so too. I know we were talking about that, you guys do a lot of professional development that is teacher choice, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe in that. And I think that we're going to have more people there this summer than we thought we would a couple of weeks ago when we first started talking.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure we're going to add sessions as it goes. I'm like, I need to get these dates together and add some more stuff, because just as this is going on, Rachel and I and Jimmy also have just had questions from teachers, and it's like, maybe they need some training on that. Like we could, we definitely have met about that.
This is the world's largest needs assessment. Now.
What a way to get feedback.
Right. I mean, I just did not know this is how it was going to happen.
So those of you who don't know Amy well, her mind works in ideas non-stop. So every day she's like, hey guys. And I'm just like, I'm about to give her question slips, idea slips.
Brooke just walks around in a constant state of this.
It's so true. I just kind of read Hangouts with one eye closed and one eye open.
I have a lot of great ideas. What can I say?
You are the idea generator.
And people need that. Y'all are the idea, and I like to get the things done. So yeah, you gotta
we don't have enough time for all of our ideas. We really don't.
Our director, Jimmy, has been blowing up our Hangouts. I've never seen him use Hangouts more in my life. All day he has a group created for our IT department, and it's just like going.
If I walk away for 30 minutes, I may come back to 100 messages.
Missed a whole conversation.
Yeah, that's how we are. We're like, everybody's begging, like, can we go eat lunch now? We're so hungry. It's 3:00,
I know.
Just feel the need from people out there just really, really keeps you going, I think, or it's what's kept us going this week, all week. Yeah, for sure. We are working on a lot of different courses. One of those is Beyond the Brick and Mortar at our online school, friedtech.online. They're advertised right now. This is what Alicia is working on. That's why she's not in this call today. And then we will all resume working on that as soon as we hang up this call today. We're also working on a kind of emergency Google Classroom course for people who we know need that. We're going to do the webinar next week and get everybody's questions answered. And to me, it sounded like Jessica was volunteering to make that form to go on social media.
Sure.
So everybody can fill that out and tell us what your questions are that you want to get answered for Google Classroom. And she's involved in a Facebook group. I haven't gotten in it because I can't stop myself.
Don't do it because
like
you'll never rest. I can't sleep at night. I'm like, these poor teachers need my help right now.
I can't sleep when I know people are out there and need help with something that I know. And so last time she told me about it, there's 91,000 people in this Facebook group trying to get help with Google Classroom, and it was formed last week.
Yeah, it's about 13 or 14 days old now, so it's insane. The people and the questions are, I mean, some of them are pretty you can tell they're really using Classroom to its fullest extent, and they've got these creative ideas and they need a creative solution. But I would say a majority of the questions are just lack of training and time for this big initiative, and it's just they feel so powerless and so frustrated. And I do really, really feel for these folks who are trying their very best to teach what they need to teach, get with the kids, make sure the kids have the consistent experience they need so they can, have normalcy. But it's tough for folks. So I'm glad that there's at least all these groups and these people that are helping each other.
What's the name of that group, Jess? Somebody on the chat wants to know.
Off the top of my head, I don't know because I'm in a couple of them, but let me go look it up while you guys are finishing up and I'll see if I can post it.
Yeah, I bet she'll put the link in there for you. Okay, and let's talk about the typewriters for a second.
I was about to say, Amy, you have to address your typewriters.
Yeah, your fan club.
I've always loved typewriters. It's the first technology I ever used when I was a child because I was a child of the 70s and we didn't have computers. I used a computer for the first time in junior high, didn't use another one till I was a senior in high school. And so I learned to type on an electric typewriter. I was really good at it. I loved it. It's a technology. A typewriter is a technology, and I love technology, and I always have. So, and then Brooke helps me through Facebook Marketplace to find all of these cool typewriters. So I've got so many awesome colors now of typewriters. So
we drag Jess to a lot of antique stores.
Yes.
It's not her favorite activity, but
not.
It's mine and Amy's. So
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there are so many more all around. We have a house that is our business, and there's typewriters all over the place. So, and Barbie dolls too. There's Barbie dolls back there. I don't know if you saw them.
So creepy.
Yeah. I love them. Well, thank you guys. Yes, and her pink formal.
I did put the name of the group that I'm in that has 97,000 members now.
Wow.
It's called Educators Temporary School Closure for Online Learning. That's one of the more active groups. And then there's one more that's specific to Google Classroom. And again, I'm going to post that. Just give me 2 seconds and we'll post it.
So you can search the name of that group on Facebook and you should be able to find that. Yeah, and you guys can always ask us questions. We have a Facebook page also, and we're on every social media channel. So if you're not getting answers, we're here for you too. That's why we're doing this stuff. Okay, second question about the Waller Google Summit.
Yeah.
So we hope so. It will depend on whether Waller's school is back open, whether they allow us to have that event, and what things are like, by April 23rd. So we're going to wait about 2 weeks, and we're going to look and see what's going on, what the CDC says, what the laws are. I mean, in our county right now, most businesses are closed down. We're not like can't leave your house yet, but it looks like it may be heading that way. Yep. So we'll let you know. We'll keep you informed, and of course, we're going to refund everybody's money who's bought tickets if we can't have the event. Perhaps maybe we postpone the event into June if this virus is heat sensitive. All of us in this call today will be in good shape because it's real hot here and real hot in where y'all live too. So maybe we still get to have the event eventually. We will certainly try. Love you, Ruth. So glad to see you there.
Aww.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today from Pulaski and answering everybody's questions and being just the awesome citizens and educators that you are. We just so much appreciate your time, and we're really looking forward to seeing you guys in person this summer and working with your teachers. So are we. We're really could not be more excited to leave the house. I mean, really, to go to another state. Yeah, I was tired of traveling a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm like,
I
oh
know.
my gosh.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I would ever feel like I feel about an airport right now.
Me neither. I want to go sit in an airport right now. I can't do
now
it.
that the freedom has been taken away, it's like, oh wait, no.
Yeah, no kidding. You're
There's
getting
some Cheez-Its there I'm used to eating.
yes. And Cheez-Its. We always take Cheez-Its with us too. All right, you guys are getting a lot of love, and thank you in the chat too.
Yes. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. I know.
Awesome.
Y'all need everybody else. So,
y'all need another thing to do, I know. So,
yeah.
but thank you for your generosity, everybody.
Thank you guys.
All right. Everybody stay safe. Be well.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.